Welcome everyone to another startup and automobile documentation. What we have here is a 2007 Chevrolet TrailBlazer LS. This TrailBlazer is painted in Summit White. Tinted windows. On the remote fob, you have the buttons for lock, unlock, and panic. The front door panels have storage areas. It does have power windows, locks, and mirrors. LS models get cloth seats, and this one has the light gray interior color scheme. It does have a fully powered driver's seat with two-way power lumbar support and a manual front passenger seat. And this one also has two-stage heated front seats. But now that we're behind the wheel, let's go ahead and start the engine. The Chevy TrailBlazer has gone through a few different iterations. The TrailBlazer nameplate first appeared in the late 90s as a high-end trim level of the Chevy S10 Blazer. Then, for 2002, the TrailBlazer became its own standalone model in the form of a new SUV that directly replaced the S10 Blazer. This iteration of the TrailBlazer was made in the US from 2002 through 2009, and will be the main focus of this video. There actually was a second generation of the TrailBlazer SUV, but that was only sold in a number of international markets. Finally, for 2021, Chevy revived the TrailBlazer name once more, but this time as a subcompact unibody crossover using the same platform as the Buick Encore GX. But the focus of today's video will be on the 2002 to 2009 iteration of the TrailBlazer, of which this 2007 model represents. Codenamed KC, the 02 to 09 TrailBlazer was a body-on-frame SUV, targeting rivals like the Toyota 4Runner. It rode on the GMT 360 SUV platform. At numerous points between 2002 and 2009, this platform also provided the basis for the GMC Envoy, 3rd generation Oldsmobile Bravada, Buick Rainier, Saab 97X, and Isuzu Ascender. The TrailBlazer and the other 5 aforementioned models were all more or less the same SUV mechanically, just with each one being restyled and reskinned a bit. All of these GMT 360 SUVs came in short wheelbase 2-row form, but the Chevy, GMC, and Isuzu variants were also made in a long wheelbase 3-row body style as well. Oh, and there was also the GMC Envoy XUV with its whole enclosed pickup bed rear cargo area situation, but that's a video for another day. The TrailBlazer didn't get too many updates between 02 and 09, but around the 2006 mark it did get some very minute cosmetic changes. Chevy also launched a high-performance TrailBlazer SS for 06 with a Corvette-derived LS2 V8 under the hood. I believe the biggest change for 07 was just the discontinuation of the long-wheelbase TrailBlazer EXT. Anyhow, trim levels for the 07 TrailBlazer included LS, LT, and SS. 3 different engines were on offer, those being a 4.2-liter inline-6, a 5.3-liter V8, and finally the SS's 6-liter LS2 V8 with nearly 400 horsepower. By the way, this 4.2-liter inline-6 still makes 291 horsepower, which is seriously potent for a base engine. The sole transmission was a 4-speed automatic, and your drivetrain options were the usual rear-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. So in the instrument cluster, we have 6 analog gauges. You have your tachometer and speedometer, along with your fuel gauge, temperature gauge, voltage gauge, and oil pressure gauge. This button you can toggle between your trip computer and odometer. The hazard switch is on top of the steering column. It has a 4-spoke design steering wheel. The steering wheel is tilt only. Headlight switch, panel dimmer, climate vent for the driver. On this side, you'll find your high beam, turn signal, wiper, and cruise control stock. Going down the center of the interior, you have your central climate vents. Right here is your 4-wheel drive control dial. You have 2 high, auto, 4 high, and 4 low. Right here is your rear wiper controller. This one has been fitted with an Aftermarket Kenwood touchscreen head unit. I guess we'll go over the system more in a bit, even though it's not stock. Below that, we have a set of dual-zone manual climate controls. Got temperature for either side, fan speed, different zones, then your rear defrost, air conditioning, and recirculation. Below that, a little bit of storage, I suppose, and 2 12-volt power outlets. Just in front of the shifter, you have 2 cup holders and some storage. On the shifter itself, you have the button to toggle your traction control. Another cup holder right here. The parking brake is hand operated. And you have a center console with some storage. The glove box is lockable. Manually dimming rear view with your passenger airbag indicator and OnStar. Both sun visors do have vanity mirrors. Grab handle for the front passenger, and you have your overhead lighting. So here is that Kenwood touchscreen head unit. It was just installed. The old head unit is actually below that seat, you'll see in the back seat, and this has this protective plastic thing still on it, but I'll leave the satisfaction of peeling that off for the next owner. But you now have AM, FM, and Sirius XM. You have Bluetooth audio streaming, I believe, as well. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, so nice modern connectivity options that this vehicle would not have had back in '07. I'm not too familiar with how this thing works, but it's a pretty responsive touchscreen. I think it works nice to, modernize an older car that you might put this in, if you do want that. Although I don't like how there's no volume dial. You have to just tap this to get the volume to go down. But other than that, it's a pretty easy to use screen. But now we will roll down the driver's window and take a look at the engine bay. Both front windows are automatic down. I do like having this blind spot mirror here as well. This thing is in absolutely mint condition too, by the way. This LS rides on these 17-inch 5-spoke alloy rims. Powering this TrailBlazer is the model's base engine for 2007, that being the Vortec 4200 4.2-liter naturally aspirated inline-6. It has an aluminum block and head, along with dual overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and variable valve timing. Horsepower is rated at 291 at 6,000 RPM, while torque is rated at 277 pound-feet at 4,800 RPM. This engine is paired to a 4-speed automatic transmission with low gear selection, and this one is a 4-wheel drive model. Running on regular unleaded with a 22-gallon fuel tank, EPA estimates are 14 mpg in the city and 20 mpg on the highway. It has an independent double wishbone front suspension and a solid axle multi-link rear suspension. Stopping the TrailBlazer are 4-wheel ventilated disc brakes. The fuel cap is on the driver's side. It does have roof racks. The back seats do fold. First you flip up the seat base, and then with this lever you can flip down the seat back and it'll go into here. Both front seats do have map pockets on the back. Here's that stock head unit. You had a CD player. Rear passengers do get their own grab handles. And as for further rear passenger amenities, you have your own climate vents, along with your own rear climate controls. You have the power button, and then you can choose your different zones. You have 2 cup holders right here, along with a 12-volt power outlet. Now as for space back here, I'm about 6'1" with the driver's seat in a pretty comfortable driving position. Headroom is really good, being an SUV. Footroom is pretty good. Legroom is just okay, but I mean it's not what I would call cavernously roomy, but it is, I would say, very comfortable. Now I'm a fan of these TrailBlazers, the GMT 360 platform, and I've actually driven a 2005 TrailBlazer before. I think it was like an LS, and it had the same engine, the straight 6 as well. And I liked it quite a bit. Single exhaust, rear wiper. You also have the option of just opening up the rear glass. Old school SUV trait. The TrailBlazer offers 43.7 cubic feet of cargo space when the back seats are up. If you fold the back seats down, you then get 80.1 cubic feet. Anyhow, thanks for checking out this tour of this 2007 Chevrolet TrailBlazer. And, as always, stay on the lookout for future tours.